All right, week 6 is in the books.
To me, this is not going to be a high-scoring game, Jim.
Oh.
This is going to be a 24-20 type of game.
We ought to take a quick look back at the books from last week and see how all you fared against the TPS experts. That is, if you can stomach it, because, spoiler alert, it was a bloodbath out there. TPS beat the world by hitting 11 correct picks, including the Rams, who are our lock of the week, compared to just 5 for the world. Meaning, we are now actually ahead in the overall standings for the first time this year. And unfortunately for y'all, we're not doling out any prizes this week, as you couldn't even make good on your underdog of the week. Sorry, people. We'd love to help you out, but people don't come to TPS for participation trophies. We need winners. But week 6 didn't produce any. Now, all jokes aside, we do appreciate you all coming out, and better luck this week. We certainly got a gift card burning a hole in our pocket. Now, if you'd like to earn some TPS bucks next week, here's what you need to do to enter the upcoming contest. It's simple. Just number 1, make sure you're subscribed to our channel. Number 2, like this video. Number 3, comment below what your boldest prediction for week 7 is. Honestly, we just really love hearing your bold predictions, and we love giving ours, so let's keep it going. And if you TPSers win, we'll dole out a prize to the individual with the boldest correct prediction. So let's get right into it with our week 7 picks. Starting with what we can only hope is not another stinker of a Thursday night football matchup. New Orleans at Arizona Cardinals. Most people in and around the NFL expected it to be a rebuilding year down in the Big Easy. 2022 is the Saints' first year without their legendary head coach Sean Payton since 2006, and to make matters worse, they certainly don't seem to have a long-term answer at the quarterback position. But they've been a nice surprise this year, sitting at 3-3 and having been very competitive in most of those outings. They are certainly banged up, there's no denying that, but the Saints have fought hard all year long. And conversely, the Cardinals have been one of the most overwhelming disappointments, really stemming back to last year when the wheels started to fall off in their previously undefeated season. Which leads us to wonder why y'all are so keen to back the Cardinals this week. I know they have some nice pieces, not to mention DeAndre Hopkins returning from his PED suspension, but that team has looked utterly dysfunctional all year. And now that the Cards fans and NFL pundits alike are all but calling for Cliff Kingsbury's job, it only seems right that a bonehead decision in crunch time cost Arizona the game by a score of 31-28 and earns Cliff a pink slip. Indianapolis Colts at Tennessee Titans. The Colts are coming off a classic AFC South bout with the Jags, during which they put up more points than they did in the previous 2 weeks combined. And we think that the Colts have hit a turning point. While it wasn't a perfect win by any stretch of the imagination, it does look like they're starting to get it figured out in Indy. And with Jonathan Taylor returning, our experts say that the Colts edge out a 24-23 victory on the strength of a big outing from their superstar running back. We're talking 150 yards and 2 touchdowns kind of performance. The TPSers, on the other hand, seem to think that Tennessee is going to sweep the season series and knock the Colts off for the second time this year. New York Giants at Jacksonville Jaguars. Okay, sorry to TPS and Giants fans alike, but the G-Men are headed towards a regression down in Jacksonville this week. There's no denying that the Giants have been one of the best surprises of the 2022 season, and first-year head coach Brian Daboll is an early frontrunner for Coach of the Year honors. But they are gonna have to lose again at some point. New York's ability to find ways to win has been very impressive so far, but the breaks can only go your way so many times. Look for Jacksonville to bounce back from a tough loss to Indy last week and take this one 14-10. As for our bold prediction on this one, a big performance from James Robinson as he scores both of Jacksonville's touchdowns, one through the air and one on the ground. Tampa Bay Buccaneers at Carolina Panthers. Will this divisional matchup ultimately be a get-right game for Tom Brady and the seemingly broken Tampa Bay Bucs? Considering how things have looked thus far this year, we're not willing to go that far. But we are siding with y'all on this one and taking the Buccaneers to win by a final score of 23-10. Tampa Bay may be broken, but the Panthers look like the early favorites to snag the first overall pick in the draft next year. Carolina has an interim coach in Steve Wilks at the reins, and a quarterback controversy on its hands now that Wilks has said that Baker Mayfield will have to earn his job back when he's healthy. PJ Walker has shown flashes, but if you ask me, there's a reason that he's best known for his XFL exploits. Walker is going to struggle in this one and surrender 3 interceptions, giving the Bucs a cakewalk of a victory and giving Brady and that struggling offensive unit a chance to catch their collective breath this week, as they eat clock all afternoon and waltz their way to an easy victory in this one. Green Bay Packers at Washington Commanders. The Packers need a win in a bad way, and the TPSers and our experts are in alignment that the Washington Commanders are exactly the team to give it to them. Green Bay wins this one in a convincing fashion, 26-7, and Romeo Doubs emerges as a go-to target for Rodgers, snagging 2 touchdowns and netting 100+ yards through the air, setting the scene for him to be a primary option for Aaron the rest of the year. Detroit Lions at Dallas Cowboys. The TPS fans are back on the Cowboys and Dak's return, but as far as we're concerned, Prescott's return will not go as planned. Dallas will certainly play well enough to keep the game close, but Dak will surrender an interception during the 4th quarter that secures a victory for the Lions, and dumps gasoline on the Cooper Rush stands fire. Detroit 27, Dallas 23. Dan Campbell and the Lions defend their home turf. Atlanta Falcons at Cincinnati Bengals. This game between the Falcons and Bengals features 2 teams that are slowly starting to round into form. Look for an exciting matchup between 2 dynamic offenses that goes down to the wire. Cincinnati wins this one by final score of 33-28, thanks to more 4th quarter heroics from Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase, who will connect on a game-winning touchdown pass for the 2nd consecutive week. And what do you know? It looks like the world is in agreement on this one too. Cleveland Browns at Baltimore Ravens. Ah yes, some good old-fashioned AFC North football between the Ravens and the Browns. Both the TPSers and our experts think that the Ravens will take this one despite the astonishing rate at which they've blown games this year. Luckily, Baltimore is playing a neighbor whose dysfunction knows no equal, and even though Balti should lose, they hold on in this one because, well, Cleveland. Final score, Ravens 21 and Browns 20. Baltimore wins on a late-game pick-6 off of Jacoby Brissett, who further cements himself as not the guy. New York Jets at Denver Broncos. Drumroll please, we have our underdog of the week, which we think may very well increase in value after seeing that pitiful performance on Monday night from the Denver Broncos. Respectfully though, the fans' pick of the Jets is destined to crash and burn in spectacular fashion. New York has certainly been playing way over their heads thus far this season, and the Broncos are simply way too talented to continue to play this poorly. Russell Wilson's status is still up in the air, but it's hard to argue that they wouldn't be better without him at this point. Regardless, we see the defense and ground game pacing the Broncos in this one, as Melvin Gordon rebounds from his Monday night benching with a 2-touchdown performance. Broncos win this one over the Jets 20-17. Houston Texans at Las Vegas Raiders. The fans like the Las Vegas Raiders to knock off Houston and Sin City, but our experts aren't sold. Vegas seems to be one of those teams that was predestined to lose a lot of games this year. Every week, they seem to find a new way to blow a lead. Besides, Houston has reason to celebrate now that they've finally gotten that psycho Jack Easterby out of town. The Josh McDaniels era continues its turbulent start as the Texans beat Las Vegas at Allegiant Stadium by a final score of 31-24. Our bold prediction for this one, we see another breakout performance from Dameon Pierce against the Raiders D, as the Texans running back goes for 3 touchdowns, matching his season total thus far. Seattle Seahawks at Los Angeles Chargers. The Seahawks, along with the Jets and Giants, have been one of the best stories in the league this year. The reemergence of Geno Smith, the vindication of Pete Carroll and all those players that were clearly sick of Russell Wilson's shtick, and unlike y'all who are cleverly overrating the Chargers, who have not looked great since Joey Bosa went out, we think that the Seahawks win another barn burner. And Geno Smith puts up a vintage West Virginia-like performance by going for over 400 yards and 3 touchdowns. Final score, Seahawks 35, Chargers 31. Kansas City Chiefs at San Francisco 49ers. A rematch of the Super Bowl a couple years back, and this should be a fun one. It's always exciting to watch 2 coaches of Kyle Shanahan and Andy Reid's caliber square off. The TPS fans think that the Chiefs get back on track after a gut-wrenching defeat against Buffalo this past week. But our experts aren't sold. Look for a clutch performance from Jimmy G as he continues to toe the line of being a franchise quarterback and rallies around a few key Niners returning from injury to deliver another clutch performance. Just wait. After hanging around all game, Garoppolo will throw a game-winning touchdown pass to Deebo Samuel at the end of the 4th quarter to edge out the Chiefs 23-21. Pittsburgh Steelers at Miami Dolphins. And now, the moment you've all been waiting for. Our lock of the week. Which, go figure, we're actually in agreement with the fans on. The Steelers shocked everybody last week, rallying to beat the Bucs after being blown out by the Bills in humiliating fashion 7 days earlier. Shout out to Mike Tomlin for another impressive instance of getting his squad up for a bounce-back game. But the reality is that the Steelers are not a good football team right now. And this week, the Dolphins knocked them off 35-17 on the strength of 5 touchdowns from Tua Tagovailoa, who has an epic bounce back of himself after clearing concussion protocols following that scary play 2 weeks ago. Chicago Bears at New England Patriots. Lastly, we have Monday Night Football, and what looks to be another primetime snooze fest. Both the TPS fans and experts think that the Patriots will knock off the somewhat downtrodden Bears. And though it pains us to say it, they're gonna do so in an excruciating fashion, by bottling up Justin Fields and running the ball all night long, zigging from last week's point bonanza in Cleveland. Patriots win by a final score of 13-3, and Justin Fields is mystified by Belichick's schemes and puts up his worst performance of the season, throwing for 4 interceptions and less than 100 yards. Alright, was that bold enough for you? Don't forget to subscribe and like the video. Then add your own bold prediction down below for a chance to win some awesome prizes. And be sure to vote on next week's games right now in our community section. Then tune in next week to see if you won.